The narrative of ARK Survival Evolved is, as many of you know by now, as rich as it is deep. As the game's namesake implies, its story has not just evolved, but ascended over the course of its 10-year lifespan. From dinosaur islands to extinct arid wastelands, even exotic simulations and colony-class starships. Though through it all, one story has sat dormant, separated from the rest, and left untold for 7 of those 10 long years. That being the story of Arat Prime, a location key to the game's narrative, which was first teased all the way back in 2018 with Extinction Evolved. And after 7 years of off and on teasing from Studio Wildcard, we'd finally be able to explore the Forgotten City in ARK Survival Ascended's Lost Colony DLC, to fill in the missing links between ARK Extinction, Genesis, and ARK II. That said, the story of Lost Colony is a decisive one. Some applaud it for its spectacle, both visual and auditorial, with the many new and unique ways used to convey itself. Others, like me, pan it for its overall poor and dissatisfying narrative, with a combined plot hole and retcon count higher than any other expansion previous. But that's not what I'm here to talk about today. You see, I've already made a video discussing why I believe Lost Colony has the worst narrative ever introduced to the ARK franchise. No, I'm here to dissect that narrative. From the rise of the Lost King and Mei-Yin's journey to the far side of the Earth, to how Sir Edmund Rockwell accessed the Genesis colony ship, and everything in between. If you find this video in any way informative or enjoyable, consider hyping it below so that it can get sent to others just like you. And with all that out of the way, this is the full story of ARK Lost Colony Explained.
Show yourself, Puppet Master!
The story of Lost Colony begins 1,037 years after the events of the Extinction and Genesis expansions, which take place not too long after one another. That is to say, after the playable survivor, the one who tries again, slayed the King Titan, allowing Helena Deus to call the Arks down to Earth to reseed the planet, and after the events of Genesis, where another survivor fought alongside HLNA to escape the Genesis simulation and defeat Rockwell Prime aboard the Genesis colony ship, destroying all but its Eden Ring in the process, leaving it to spread new Earth life to the alien world of Arat in ARK II. After watching the Arks make landfall and witnessing the sunrise with Helena Deus, the one who tries again would go on to live out the rest of their life on the newly reseeded Earth, among their fellow man. Your story, and the stories of the survivors which came before, fading into the annals of history over centuries. Yet, as if no time had passed at all, you would be awoken a millennium later by the familiar voice of Helena Deus, calling upon you for a new goal.
Colony process complete.
Survivor, hear my words and awaken. It's been over 1,000 years since we last spoke, and I'm communicating with you now from a distant planet. Because I need your help once more. Yes. You were the one I waited so long for. You completed what I had started. And together, we restored life to an extinct world. But there's still one place left on Earth where a form of element still lingers, rendering it impenetrable to the cleaning energies of the Reseed Protocol. This forlorn outpost, where you are now, was once a research colony called Arat Prime, sister facility of Sanctuary, where the technology to store and transmit human consciousness was perfected. There is stored the only remaining archive of humanity's collective minds and bodies, the Engram Codex. I need you to recover and transmit the Codex, our shared heritage, so I can use it to restore balance to my new world. You should know that it won't be easy, because in the 1,000 years after reseeding, Arat Prime has become home to... Quick, he's here. Brace yourself.
Before Helena could finish briefing you on your objective, she'd be interrupted by the armor-clad footsteps of the Lost King, sovereign ruler of Arat Prime.
The Codex provides a feast fit for a king and his family. And I can't deny myself a taste. Very sweet. You are truly a marvelous creation. I wonder, you may yet better serve the family by joining us rather than feeding us. Yes. You will become one of our kind. Drink, and you will know nothing of death or pain ever again. Ah! What power is this? Who else is in there with you?
I could only stun him for a moment. What are you waiting for, Survivor? Get the hell out of there!
Breaking free from the Lost King's grasp, you'd run towards a chute leading out of the Codex chamber, sliding through deep tunnels until you'd find yourself in the outskirts of Arat Prime. Though you had escaped, you'd sustain infection from what Helena called Red Element. But thanks to her intervention, you'd survive what would have otherwise been a mortal transformation into one of the Lost.
Hear me, my thrall. You may have fled blindly into the wastes, but we will find you and bring you back. Do not fear. You are no longer sustenance to us. You have tasted of our life force and begun your journey to become one of us, one of the lost. And so, it is only a matter of time before we are reunited.
With that, you had your goal. Infiltrate the Lost King's stronghold, locate the last remaining codex, and transmit it to Helena Deus, so that she could use it to respawn you and her friends onto Arat thousands of light years away. It wasn't going to be easy, but you were Helena's chosen. Under her guidance, you had survived the Arks, confronted Rockwell, and slain the Titans, allowing the Earth to be reseeded. And so, you took your first steps into the frozen wastes of Arat Prime, determined to see Helena's plan to completion.
You cannot escape my notice anywhere in this kingdom. I have eyes everywhere, and they see everything.
As you began your journey through the icy Antarctic, another story was being told on Arat, parallel to yours. There, Helena Deus would appear before Mika, daughter of Terran Federation elite Santiago da Costa, who had been respawned onto Arat as a part of the Arrival as seen in the ending of Genesis Part 2.
I'm sorry, Mika.
I hear your voice first thing in the morning, and you sing me to sleep at night. Are you my mom?
I'm sorry, Mika. I'm not. But I did know your mom. A long, long time ago. Diana Altares was so brave and fierce.
But you've been with me for as long as I can remember, guiding me.
In a way, you are like a daughter to me. We share memories, thoughts, and feelings. You and I are connected to the technology of the Arks in such a special way.
Wait! You're Helena Walker, one of those heroes Dad told me about, from back on Earth.
I don't know that I was a hero. I just did what needed to be done.
Sounds exactly like what a hero would say. You saved the world.
And it took everything. But I know you have that same strength within you, Mika.
That strength. So, if you're in my head, do you know how I feel? Do you know what it's like to want someone back with you more than anything?
I do. I loved someone once. Very much.
What was her name?
See? You do know more than you think. To her friends, she was Mei-Yin. But to those who feared her, she was called...
The Beast Queen! My dad said she was one of the toughest survivors he ever knew. What happened to her?
I had to leave her behind. But Mei-Yin's story continued to the far side of the earth, into frozen wastes shrouded in endless night, where a small pocket of humanity managed to survive the long cataclysm, in a place called Arat Prime.
Arat Prime? Where the Arks came from?
That's right. Mei-Yin traveled there looking for a way back to me. And your mother, Diana. But what she found instead...
What? What was it? Tell me!
There she found... the stuff of nightmares.
Over 2,000 years before the one who tries again would step foot into the lost colony of Arat Prime, Helena's friend and ally, Mei-Yin, would journey there from the ruins of Sanctuary on the other side of the planet alone. Though explorer notes from Extinction imply she was to be accompanied by her lover, United Republics of Earth elite Diana Alteris, she's completely absent from Lost Colony's story, and her presence past Aberration's narrative seems to be entirely abandoned, if not outright retconned. Because of this, it's also unclear whether or not Mei was led to Arat Prime by Helena Deus, as was originally the case in Extinction. Regardless, Mei-Yin's goal in finding the lost colony was similar to yours, in that she intended to take the codex for herself, so that she could use it to respawn both Helena and Diana. Sometime during her journey though, Mei would come to be abandoned by Helena Deus for unknown reasons, likely in part due to Helena's mental disconnect, having lost her sense of self in becoming a Homo Deus. As such, Helena doesn't know what fate befell Mei-Yin at Arat Prime during the events of Lost Colony, only that she had traveled there in search of the Codex, ultimately failing in the end. As you'd brave Arat Prime's wastes, taming their mutated fauna and crafting new equipment to fend off the chilling climes, both Helena Deus and the Lost King would speak to you from within your own mind, watching your every move and sending words of encouragement and reprimand respectively.
It's amazing how even in the coldest places, there is still hidden pockets of warmth and beauty. Flowers straining for the light.
Like you, these mountains can be treacherous. I recommend treading carefully. Pride comes before a fall, and it's such a long climb back up.
Yet the longer your stay at Arat Prime, the more your red element infection would start to take hold. Helena may have prevented you from becoming one of the lost, yet something inside of you felt different. Through newly introduced milestones, you could become more powerful, gaining post-human skills which would completely shift your own capabilities, ranging from simple bloodlust all the way to telekinesis. Eventually, you'd build yourself up enough to step into the city of Arat Prime. its own projectors, in combination with the distant royal palace, were generating the protective shield which would allow the lost colony to stand defiantly against the order of the Reseed Protocol. If you were to take the Lost King's Codex, you'd be able to bring down the Great Dome, allowing Earth to finally be purged of element in its entirety.
Behold my Arat Prime, blood-red jewel of the Antarctic, sole remaining bastion of post-cataclysmic humanity on Earth. Observe the laws of my kingdom, and you are free to know its wonders.
Here, you'd come to understand what the Lost King meant when he called you his thrall, as the city was populated by those not dissimilar to yourself. A civilization of colonists turned lost, bioengineered to survive the long cataclysm in tandem with Red Element. Though that wasn't the only off-putting thing about them.
Whoever that is, they're unconnected to the ARK network? Now that's weird. Try not to seem hostile.
Scattered across the city is also where you'd find the first of the Lost King's personal logs and dossiers, dating as far back as the launching of the Arks and the Genesis colony ship, long before Arat Prime became what it is now, and even longer before he was ever known as the Lost King.
These are the private logs of Darius Anthom, the director of the Arat Prime facility. I hope in better times they will serve as a record of what has transpired here, and what may yet come to be. The seed ship is away. Project Genesis is a triumph. It's hard to fully accept what we here at Arat Prime have accomplished together. Arguably, the most momentous and audacious thing ever attempted by human ingenuity. Future generations will surely remember and commemorate our great efforts on their behalf. Perhaps those same descendants will even find a way to forgive us for fouling our home world beyond repair. May Providence guide them.
With the successful launch of both the ARK network and colony ship, those at the Arat Prime facility would, in turn, be abandoned by both the Homo Deus and Genesis crew, left to die alongside Earth, despite their contributions to both respective projects, the biggest of which being the Codex.
We have always understood our ultimate fate beyond this project's completion. But now, with the launch actually behind us, I find myself less comforted than I had anticipated. Humanity may well live again elsewhere in the galaxy, but we project managers were unable to encode our own engrams into the Codex, a limitation of the system's design. The creators cannot themselves be created. As long as this facility stays operational, we can continue to store our creatures' new memories and experiences into the Engram Codex, and upload them across our transluminal communication link with the Genesis seed ship. A person could close their eyes here, and then awake to open their eyes in an alien world in the distant future, with no sense of lost continuity. That is, someone other than us, but we who labored for generations to preserve the biological riches of the planet Earth. We shall not get to see the results of our efforts. Now that the day has finally arrived, I feel regret. Or is it fear?
By now, the element which had destroyed the Earth's ecology and habitability began to corrupt the planet's flora and fauna, before willing into existence the Titans, which would go on to destroy all remaining cities, colonies, and outposts on the planet. Yet, due to a combination of Arat Prime's encompassing force field and remote South Pole location, those at the facility would be hidden from the Titans for the time being. With this in mind, Darius was trusted with leading his colleagues through the cataclysm. Thus, the goalpost changed.
Scouts have definitively confirmed that long-term survival is impossible in the outside world. We are unlikely to endure much longer here, nor can we expect any intervention by our ascended cousins, the so-called Homo Deus, now that they've abandoned us to play in their orbital arcs. Our technology helped make it possible, and yet they have abandoned us too. but there must be a way forward. I was entrusted to lead this last bastion of humanity, and I refuse to just wait around for my people to starve in the dark. No! We will not go quietly into the night. Given the collective engineering and scientific expertise we possess, I'm determined to make survival our new mission. We will find a way to outlast this.
For years, Darius would guide Arat Prime's continued survival through strict conservation of their remaining supplies and resources, until at last a breakthrough had been made, one which would drastically alter the colony's future. Deep beneath the surface of the Antarctic, a new type of element was discovered, what Darius would call red element. And though red element was an objectively lesser source of energy compared to what blue, refined element could provide, it would be enough to sustain the protective dome and a geothermal reservoir Arat Prime relied on to exist. One issue it wouldn't solve, however, was the facility's dwindling agricultural front. At this point, element had seeped into and frozen the Earth's core, stopping the planet's rotation entirely and plunging Arat Prime into an eternal night, making plant and animal life nearly impossible to maintain. How exactly they were able to preserve their geothermal front, however, despite the planet's frozen core, is beyond me.
There may be a solution to our crisis, albeit one almost too horrible to contemplate. Experimentation on animal and human subjects with exposure to red element has demonstrated an unexpected potential to boost longevity. Better still, the isotope can bond with human hemoglobin to produce a new and more efficient type of biofuel. Barring the cryotolerance of Antarctic sea life and the metabolism of hematophagus creatures like vampire bats and leeches, we could shrug off the cold and open up a new source of bioavailable energy. Because we just so happen to have an endless clone bank of potential blood donors at our disposal. The Codex can provide life itself.
Darius's proposal to his colleagues to biologically alter themselves through red element so that they could use the Codex to produce clones capable of sustaining the colony wasn't just met with opposition. It was met with violence. Arat Prime was a Terran Federation facility after all. Most, if not all of those stationed there, were humanists who would rather extinction over survival through what was, at its core, transhumanism. The very same ideological dissonance that had started the element wars in the first place, generations earlier. In turn, seeing no other possible solution, Darius had those who resisted killed, and eventually consumed.
There was predictable opposition to my admittedly radical proposal. Revulsion at the idea of exploiting our precious Codex was only to be expected in a community of such devout humanists. Why could they not see the choice before us? Adaptation or death? Why should everything that we are, all that we have come to know and learn and love, why should that vanish into oblivion when we possess the power to live forever? Many objected to the heretical mutations I believe necessary to the continued survival of our colony. Regrettably, their resistance will have to be put down for the greater good. The Red will deliver us from starvation and open up a new age of post-humanity on our otherwise extinct homeworld. Those who can see that this is the only path will be part of our new colony. Those who cannot can provide sustenance. The Rubicon has been crossed, and so we are lost. We are the lost. There is no other way forward.
With his newly genetically engineered body and dark tech armor, Darius Anthom shifted from Arat Prime's lead facilitator to its dictatorial ruler, and that of the Lost King. And as his colleagues underwent what he called the Turning, what few dissenters remained would be hunted down by the very first Lost Enforcers, either to be slain or turned against their will.
So many friends and colleagues are now gone, but they could not face the necessity of what had to be done. This new way of life has only come about due to my conviction, my willpower. So it seemed reasonable to stack the deck in my own favor by giving myself the most profound genetic upgrades. After all, a people need a leader, and their leader must be strong.
Through the chaos, and over an untold number of years, the Lost King began to renovate and hyper-militarize Arat Prime. What was once just a research colony built to aid with development of the Genesis colony ship became a city of the dead, fit with oppressive surveillance systems and creatures genetically engineered with red element to be commanded by the Lost King's elite thralls, some of which consisted of his colleagues from millennium prior, others clones from the Codex, which were conscripted forcefully into the Lost King's ranks as slaves and expendable livestock to be ritually drained of their blood.
At long last and through great sacrifice, a kind of equilibrium has finally been achieved. Our people will live on in the endless night, no thanks to those who abandon us to our fate once we launch them toward their bright future. If and when the colonists on the siege should find a habitable new world, the plan was to call their new home Arat. But Earth was the cradle of humanity, and Arat Prime remains its last terrestrial outpost. We will carry the torch on into the long night. Down here in the darkness, we may not be able to thrive as they will in their sunlit new world. But I have seen to it that we will endure. It only seems fair that the clones they left behind will serve to feed us into perpetuity.
Knowing now of the Lost King's past, you pressed forward, deeper into the city of Arat Prime, where his lost army lay in wait, watching your every move from the shadows, ready and willing to extinguish any hostility at a moment's notice.
My children may not attack you on sight, but don't think that means you have free reign here. Follow our rules, and you won't be harmed. Steal, harm, or vandalize, and they'll show no mercy.
Yet, the Lost weren't going to be the only danger standing between you and the Codex, as inevitably, you'd come to find yourself face to face with the aberrant spread.
Watch where you step. Those pools are filled with a volatile variant of element. An old friend of mine called Edmundium.
Surely you had seen it by now. The diseased, afflicted yet familiar presence left to fester in the wastes and the shambling revenants which accompanied it. This presence belonging to none other than Sir Edmund Rockwell. But how? Helena Deus had tasked you with killing him over 1,000 years ago on the Aberrant Ark, and as far as you know, you had succeeded in doing just that. You see, though the reseed protocol was all in all a success, some arcs didn't make their intended landing. Instead, they had crashed into the surface of the planet, resulting in catastrophic damages and an incalculable loss of life. Aberration was one of these arcs, so broken and in disarray that a normal landing was never going to be possible. And so, 1,034 years before our arrival, it crashed in the vicinity of Arat Prime, spreading its aberrant flora and fauna across the region like the world's worst piñata, the accompanying compañero being none other than Edmund Rockwell in the flesh. Lots of flesh. Though Helena had indeed sent you to kill him 1,000 years prior, Rockwell never really died. Rather, he had just retreated into his pool of liquid element to heal his mortal wounds after your confrontation. It wasn't until the Aberrant Ark was destroyed that Rockwell actually went with it. And unfortunately for you, as an unforeseen consequence of Helena granting survivors the ability to be respawned during Rockwell's time as an overseer, once his previous body had been obliterated in the crash, a new one was created for him. This new clone, Edmund, was respawned amongst the ruins of Aberration, with a fragmented consciousness split between his first life in London and his second on the Arks, underlined by memories of the monster he had once become.
Who am I? Such a simple question. 3 little words. And yet, I find I am unable to summon an answer. I've awoken surrounded by metallic wreckage, the bright thunderclap of my arrival echoing away across a vast, rapidly cooling crater. From before this ruin, I remember little. I recall scattershot visions of monstrosity. I was something inhuman. And yet now I seem to be simply a man, vulnerable and exposed. The stark cold jolts something loose in my mind. Betrayal? Murder? Madness? What had I done? What had I become? A wretched being. A monster. I fall to my knees in the freezing wind. Better to let it end here with some semblance of humanity intact. I feel myself finally slipping into nothingness, as it should be, and then...
No, Edmund, you won't die here. I won't let you.
A renewed vigor courses through me. A will to survive. And more than that, to perpetuate.
Wandering through the aberrant Ark's crash site, delirious and freezing, Edmund would make a rough shelter out of the still warm wreckage, before passing into sleep at its center. There, in a state of restlessness, memories of his past life as the Overseer of Aberration flickered through his mind in the form of scattered nightmares.
In fitful bouts of sleep, enormous tentacles reach for me from a terrible abyss. Spine-covered appendages lashing away pieces of my soul. I can almost glimpse a golden light behind it all, struggling to break through that darkness. But there is no daylight to separate my delusions from rationality.
Unable to rest, Edmund began to make himself the crude tools and equipment necessary for survival, all the while trying to recall something, any remembrance of his humanity, to drown out what he had seen in his nightmares. The first things which came to mind being memories of his former life in London, and his daughter, Charlotte Rockwell.
The memories arrive in waves, crashing with vivid images onto the shore of my mind, each time bringing new torments as I see my many failures laid out before me. A life lived on a world long since dead, as a once heralded scientist. I see a daughter I could not save. My darling little girl, my little girl, lifeless. How I failed you, Charlotte. I failed you. Your innocent eyes will never leave me. And then, a second life, on vast islands in the sky. A friend, Helena. She cared so deeply and understood so very much. And yet these new technologies, new possibilities, I began to realize that the failures of my first life need not define me forever. Great things were possible.
Yes, remember, Edmund, you can indeed be great again. Your weakness need not be your destiny.
Who are you? In reply, I hear only the howling wind and see the void of darkness from which it emanates. I suppose I have my answer.
Abandoning the Ark's wreckage, Edmund would begin to set forth into the outskirts of Arat Prime, where he'd quickly come to encounter the first of the Revenants. His Revenants.
As I make my way out of the wreckage, What I witnessed chills me far more than this unceasing, pitiless wind. Monstrosities. Purple-hued revenants, shambling about, seemingly immune to these harsh climes. They disgust me. And yet they also intrigue me. There's something so familiar about them.
That's because they are your children, Edmund.
My children? Charlotte was my tender child. I have no other.
It was at this point Edmund began to realize who was speaking from within him and why he was goading him on, what plans he had in store.
Don't play coy. Surely as a scientist, you're able to put the pieces together. I know you can.
What do you know about me?
I am you, Edmund, as you really are.
I'm a man. Just a man, a father, a scientist, a friend.
You are so much more than that.
No, I don't want it.
You have never wanted anything more.
Please, I can't be that again. I can't.
But you will.
I'm afraid.
And that is why you will find your way back to me. Not the mortal flesh of the one, but the eternal seeds of the many.
Ignoring the voice of Rockwell, Edmund continued forward, hordes of revenants parting in his wake. They wouldn't be the only thing awaiting his arrival, though.
Purple pools of bubbling liquid seem to vibrate in anticipation as I hesitantly approach. I recognize my Edmundium. Perhaps. No, I must not think of it.
Managing to pull himself away from his temptation and towards the ridgeline, Edmund would be met with the foreboding, blood-red sight of Arat Prime on the horizon.
The source of that mysterious glow in the storm turns out to be a dystopian mockery of human civilization erupting from the ice. Its population of mindless thralls bows under the yoke of a seemingly omnipotent king.
Given time, you could wield such power. Power over death, and the power to give life.
No, this is blasphemy made manifest. I must escape this dark dominion before I fall prey to that terrible, omnipresent will.
Stealthily, as to not incur the Lost King's wrath, Edmund snuck through the city of Arat Prime, observing its people under the cover of darkness. Thanks to his familiarity with Element, he'd not only come to observe the red strain used all over the city's infrastructure, but somehow, possibly due to his lingering connection to the Element hive mind through Rockwell's memories and consciousness, Edmund would also correctly infer a scientific reaction between the red and purple variants from sight alone.
The scarlet strain of Edmundium circulating through these arcane machines seems to act at odds with the variety I use to alter and empower my own creations. It's as if these two substances were inverse forces, one cancelling the other.
Yes, you're beginning to understand. Now, how might you weaponize that mutual opposition?
Despite his attempts to avoid drawing the Lost King's attention, Edmund would inevitably be found out. Trapped within the bounds of Arat Prime's great dome in his weak, withered, and elderly form, he'd have no way to counter the Lost King nor his forces. So, in a moment of weakness, Edmund would begin to heed the voice of Rockwell.
Perish any thought of retreat or surrender, Edmund. Your only path to survival is to advance upon the denizens of this Scarlet Realm, learn their secrets, and then take what they have.
Hearing this wretched voice is surprisingly like a balm to my frayed mind. and I know that without it I would surely die here. But if I am to heed its entreaties, would I follow the same path as before? Would I become that abomination once again? Do I wish to live or to die? Should Edmund Rockwell pay for his many sins through penance? Or through oblivion? I breathe deeply, then I take a step forward and hope that this time my defenses will hold. I will make them hold.
Edmund would wake the next day, crying over his memories of Charlotte. Despite clinging to his humanity, if he didn't adhere to Rockwell's instructions, his death would be inescapable. And so, channeling his ties to Element, Edmund began to make revenants of as many living beings as he could get his hands on, tearing himself between his altruism and his will to survive.
What am I doing? I once lost my senses in a quest to bring poor Charlotte back to me, and then I betrayed those closest to me.
The rulers of this realm are unbound by such petty moralities. Do not think to confront them while you are lost in such solipsistic quivering. Banish all regrets, Edmund, for sentimentality accomplishes nothing.
The wretched voice is right, of course. My pitiable forces won't hold back the devil's hordes for long. But I am no mere animal to be domesticated, nor preyed upon.
No animal indeed, seeing you can show them what true power is.
Yes, they underestimate me at their peril. They all have.
Death wings its way toward you, even now. You can feel it out there, that hatred curdled over millennia. It's coming for you, and quickly. What will you do?
I do feel it. The Reaper. She is coming to claim me. What can I do? I am only one man. A weak man at that.
Once you were something so much more. 1 billion lives within you. Do you remember the Edmundium singing in your veins? How you played with the furnace of life itself? How all of creation was at your fingertips?
I remember. So many possibilities. I could be everywhere. And everything. But then there was so much torment. And the voices. I lashed out without thought. Hurt allies. Made mortal enemies of my friends. I killed her. I did it. Oh God.
What is one life compared to the infinite possibilities of creation? You have the means to arm yourself again with the power to defeat all of your enemies, to burn away the encroaching darkness.
At what cost?
Everything. But I am here for you. I always have been. I am the reason you survived the slums of London when they all set upon you like a wounded dog. I'm the strength you use to escape predation on the island. I taught you the secrets of Edmundium in the violent caverns of that aberrant Ark. And I will save you now, if you let me in. Yes.
Under the guidance of Rockwell, accompanied by the army of various revenant thralls and creatures under his command, Edmund would storm the upper city's caldera, where he'd be confronted by the Lost Queen, consort and right hand of the Lost King.
The devil overlord of this realm has set his queen enforcer on me.
Trust in the plan.
She is a fearsome vision in unholy armor, menace incarnate, an impossibly tall, winged Valkyrie. Why does her relentless, bloodthirsty determination remind me of someone I once knew?
Effortlessly, the Lost Queen launched a lone assault against the Revenant army, slaying the reanimated corpses of her former subjects in droves, before shifting her focus onto Edmund himself. Fortunately, this was all a part of Rockwell's plan.
In the heart of the impact crater, I brace for her arrival.
Here comes the endgame.
She seizes me up in her claws without a word, lifts me off my feet. Her helmet opens to expose fangs that she sinks into my soft throat. In my agonized struggle, I feel her realize, too late, that I've seeded my own lifeblood with indigo Edmundium. It proves disagreeable to her own red life force.
Check, Your Majesty.
In the time between building his army of revenants and as a part of his counterattack on the Lost, Rockwell had convinced Edmund to once again imbue himself with liquid element, as he had done on Aberration, ultimately rejecting his humanity over his continued survival. After breaking free from her grasp, Edmund watched as the Lost Queen struggled to fly back to the royal palace, impaired by the liquid element in her bloodstream. From there, Edmund waited alone, in anticipation to be met with the Lost King.
Your gambit has worked, Edmund.
An envoy has arrived to pledge His Majesty's willingness to cease hostilities and to invite me to his stronghold to discuss terms. Despite all the arcane knowledge at his disposal, the Devil King must not know how to cure his queen.
Good. He should suffer as we have.
They all should. Yes, I know now why I listen to you, wretched voice. Without you, I am just a man. I can be tormented. I feel regret and grief, love and pain and guilt. Those things, those simple human frailties which have weakened me since I took my first unsteady steps onto this grim earth. I can simply let them all go. Because with you, I am a god.
Though his own explorer notes end here, as he accepts the Lost King's hasty invitation to the palace, Edmund Rockwell's influence on Arat Prime would span far past this moment. As a result of the Aberrant Ark's crash landing, its mutated contents had been introduced to the Lost Colony's outskirts, dotting the wastes in the form of sporadic sulfur pools. The worst of the contamination being the aforementioned aberrant spread, where Rockwell's inadvertent creations still plague Arat Prime, even in his absence, ever expanding, ever infecting.
Another of Rockwell's bad ideas in the flesh. He never did have a problem with human experimentation. Maybe best to put that poor thing out of its misery.
We're never told what the goal of the Revenants are explicitly, but I'd wager their proliferation is in an attempt to breach the Lost King's palace, and by extension, its codex chamber, so that they could use the codex's superluminal link to transmit the element hive mind off of Earth and onto Arat, where their spread wouldn't be restricted by the cleansing effects of the Reseed Protocol. Should you choose to confront the Revenants on the Lost King's behalf and defend his outposts from their relentless onslaught, not only would you impede their spread, but you'll also be rewarded for your deeds with powerful cursed items, weapons, armor, and even thralls of your own.
You've taken your first thrall from me. I just hope you're ready for the responsibility. Heavy hangs the crown.
Likewise, raiding the Lost King's outposts could prove equally, if not more lucrative, giving you a chance to instead steal additional loot and thrall defectors, in which case, the Lost King will send his special Lost after you.
What makes you think I will allow you to attack one of my outposts? You're no better than the Revenants.
Completing both attack and defense outposts would be required to access the Royal Palace though, as they'd grant you varying tiers of Crimson and Aberrant sigils respectively, tokens used by the Lost King to prevent entry from interlopers. Alongside those sigils, you'd also occasionally find what are referred to as the archival audios. Conversations contextualized, recorded, and stored within the codex, dating back thousands of years. The first of which, those obtainable from outposts, pertain to Mei-Yin, both during her time on the Aberrant Ark and in the ruins of Sanctuary on Earth. Unfortunately, most, if not all, of Mei-Yin's audio archives from Aberration are completely irrelevant to the story of Lost Colony and primarily exist to retcon already established information from the Explorer notes in order to tie the game's continuity closer to that of the animated series. And because of that, I'll be skipping over those, and to the latter four, which take place during the events of Extinction, and add new context to Helena's eventual transformation into a Homo Deus. Shortly after escaping Aberration via Santiago's portal, Helena would confide in Mei-Yin that, ever since their arrival to the Dead Earth, she had been hearing voices. Voices that were pushing her towards events that were set to occur in the distant future.
I need to ask you something, but when I do, I'm scared you'll think I'm losing my mind.
After everything, you still worry what I might think of you? Ask me anything, unless you plan to bring up that cloning idea again.
No, not that. It's just... Are you hearing them too? Those voices?
No, but this dead world is sure to be haunted.
Well, that's the thing. I don't believe in ghosts.
What sorts of things are these voices saying to you?
That I have to guide someone to finish the work we started far in the future.
Okay, now you are sounding just a little crazy.
I know. And Mei-Yin? I'm scared.
We will figure this out together. I promise.
After Santiago had begun evaluating potential mech pilot candidates to fend off the Titans, not too long after the founding of Camp Omega, Helena and Mei-Yin would discuss their respective inner struggles. For Mei, it was a sense of inadequacy and difficulty in coping with Diana's death. But for Helena, it was having to deal with the voices in her head and keeping their existence under wraps.
I did not pass his tests. His metal behemoths will march on without me, their thunderous steps echoing my failure.
Maybe a little overdramatic? Look, Mei-Yin, setting aside my sync rating, whatever that is, you're his top candidate. Trust me. Okay, sure. He's worried about your emotional state. But so am I.
I can handle my own emotions. But should he not know that you are hearing voices?
Hey, not cool. What happened to figuring things out together?
Together.
That's it. Let me help you. Because when I'm in that cockpit, it's almost like all that tech is...
meeting you halfway.
Yeah, exactly. So, maybe it's your turn to follow my lead.
Where you go, I will follow.
Something interesting which gets brought up here is Helena's innate ability to interface with tech on a deeper, more instinctive level than anyone else in Camp Omega, a peculiarity which would first be brought up by Diana during the events of Aberration, later written about in Santiago Log number 16 on Extinction, foreshadowing Helena's ultimate destiny in becoming the one who waits. Said peculiarity would resurface once more after Helena touched a transhuman artifact Mei-Yin had retrieved from an abandoned facility, an action which would set into motion the events prophesied to Helena through sporadic, artifact-induced visions and the voices in her head.
I told you that gem was dangerous. Are you all right?
It spoke to me. I finally know what I have to do. What I am meant to do. But I don't know if I can.
Tell me, Helena, what did you learn?
That I need to leave the world behind. Become something more than human. Like one of those beings that control the arcs, but also greater than them. It said this was my destiny, built into my genetic structure, going backwards to humanity's beginning.
You mean it told you that you have to die? What the hell kind of destiny is that?
I don't know. But it's not death, Mei-Yin. It's not life either. Not exactly. More like existing in a state at one with the universe, outside our bounds of time and space. I think from there, I can cross over to the time when Earth can truly be healed, and make sure it happens.
And why should you have to pay for their mistakes? Haven't we both sacrificed enough already? Isn't there some other way?
I wish there was. But everything in my head and my heart is telling me that Ascension is the only way we can finally end all of this. And I can't do it alone.
You won't have to. Because I will be there with you.
From here, things get really convoluted, because for one reason or another, the final Mei-Yin audio archive completely retcons how Helena ascended into a Homo Deus. According to the lore of Extinction, after the entire tech tribe had been wiped out by the King Titan and Helena had inserted the transhuman artifact into her specimen implant, it began to overpower her, slowly deteriorating her physical form as veins of light spread across her body. With the two survivors being the only humans still alive on Earth, Mei-Yin brought Helena to a location she'd envisioned deep within the sunken forest. There, they'd find the Tomb of Ascension, where Helena would eventually ascend shortly after a confrontation between Mei and another horde of Titans. However, Mei-Yin Archival 10 shows us something completely different. Rather than being overpowered by the artifact, Helena's seen bleeding out from an inexplicable, fatal wound in her abdomen, completely lacking the veins of light Mei-Yin had written about. And instead of lying in the Tomb of Ascension, Helena's huddled in a completely different device, identical in appearance to the apparatus seen in the Genesis Part 1 Ascension and the ARK 2 announcement trailer. Her surroundings are also reflective of a Hall of History, completely dissimilar to the location's in-game counterpart. With this in mind, it's hard to say which version of events is or isn't canon. At the end of the day, it's probably just another plot point haphazardly retconned by a Lost Colony's narrative.
You don't have to do this. You can be healed. With all of the devices in this place, you can be restored.
Please understand. This is what was always meant to be. I can hear it so clearly now.
What? What is it? What do you hear, Helena?
The song. One we've been singing since time began.
Don't you leave me alone. Not again.
There's still hope for this world, Mei-Yin. For life to return to it. But for that to happen, I have to guide the one who will finish this.
What about your life? What about ours?
Forgive me. I can't activate the process myself. Only you can set me free now. To ascend. Please, Mei-Yin. My brave warrior. My unbreakable heart. I'm begging you. You have the strength to let me go.
Damn it all, Helena. I loved you.
Thank you. Never forget me. We're all part of the dream. It's nothing more than that. And I'll always love you there. Can you hear the music? It's so beautiful. I'm not afraid.
Chronologically, Mei-Yin would then leave the Tomb of Ascension, or unnamed facility, to wander the wastes alone, silently watched over by the now amnesic Helena Darius, who, upon seeing Mei's struggle, would incidentally respawn Diana, where her Explorer notes would pick up shortly thereafter, assuming her respawn is still considered, in any way, canon. Continuing your mission at Arat Prime, you'd bolster your arsenal through new structures capable of harnessing the power of Red Element, and bend the wills of both the Necrocene creations of the Lost King and the Revenant creations of Rockwell to your own.
Oh, Edmund. Only you could dream up something that bizarre.
As your prowess grew, you'd even be able to train, command, and possess a Thrall militia of your very own, all the while collecting the Crimson and Aberrant sigils required to eventually breach the Royal Palace. This relentless defiance against the Lost Kingdom wouldn't, by any means, go unnoticed, as it would eventually prompt the Lost King to search your memories from within the Codex, to learn more about who you really are and what you had accomplished in your past lives. Not only did you hail from an island so long ago, but you had come to brave fierce sands and monstrous depths as well. Through countless failed attempts, you had been the one to slay the King Titan, and it was you who had enabled the Reseed protocol that now threatened Arat Prime.
Since you called all the Arks down to Earth with your Reseed protocol, these border towns were overrun by aberrations from the one that crashed on our doorstep. Your heroics caused the deaths of many of my people.
Yet, somehow, the Lost King was unable to deduce that Helena Darius had guided you through it all, nor that she was the reason you had come from the Codex, and not just any other survivor. In fact, Helena's divine intervention as a whole would be completely obscured from the Lost King, for one reason or another. As you'd gain more lost abilities, the red element infection spreading further, you'd be given additional insight, more glimpses into the Codex through the Lost King's own memories. The same memories which apparently couldn't be saved to the Codex, seeing as the Lost King was one of the scientists who had worked on its development during his time as Darius Anthom. Inconsistencies aside, these 5 archival audios give further continuity as to what happened to Rockwell after his skirmish with the Lost Queen, and how he intended to leave the boundaries of Arat Prime with his Edmundium. Within the Royal Palace's reception chamber, introductions between Rockwell and the Lost King would be brief, as the latter had already familiarized himself with the former, having searched through his memories in the Codex.
Your Majesty.
Sir Edmund Rockwell, or is it Dr. Rockwell? You are a man quite far outside his proper time and place. Victorian England is a long way from this purgatory.
You have me at a disadvantage, Lost King. I am woefully ignorant of your history.
Thousands of years ago, I was the scientific administrator of this facility, and now I am its absolute ruler. The power of Red Element has sustained myself and my people for eons. And you are clearly a fast learner. In your short time here, you have already managed to toxify our land. Your purple element, unlike ours, is an abomination that poisons our lifeblood.
Your consort meant to make a meal of me. I was forced to do what I could to make myself unpalatable.
My queen only meant to share our precious gift and make you one of us, properly equipped for survival in this unforgiving place. Dr. Rockwell, you were summoned here to rid my queen of your foul corruption.
Were I to do as you demand, I suspect my life would instantly be forfeit. You do not strike me as the forgiving type.
Should my queen succumb to your toxin, I promise your end will be anything but instant.
So your offer for my help is a swift death. I fear our negotiations are off to a discouraging start.
I must attend to my queen just now. You may avail yourself of this food and drink in my absence. And don't worry, I would never be so craven and deceitful as to poison a guest in my own castle.
Do pass along my profound regret for Her Majesty's discomfort. There is something so familiar about her mannerisms. I can almost...
Don't go anywhere, Doctor.
This was Rockwell's ultimatum. As he had inferred earlier, the Lost King and his people didn't readily have the knowledge required to rid the Lost Queen of her element infection. With this being the case, Rockwell would have no other choice but to cure her in hopes of negotiating his own survival. In a dilemma somewhat reminiscent of how, in exchange for his life, he was forced to deliver the baby of Timur, a ruthless warlord and leader of the burning Phoenix tribe during the events of Scorched Earth.
Tell me, how fares the Queen?
She suffers from your treachery. Will you or will you not rid her of your poison? Assuming that you even can.
I believe myself quite capable of curing her affliction in short order. With all of your knowledge, you could probably do the same, given sufficient time. But how much longer can you afford to delay treatment? She grows sicker by the hour, I presume. As the Edmundium works its way through her system, she'll soon hear the voices. My voices.
Too far, Doctor!
Majesty, I only want the freedom to prosper, untroubled and free of your sphere of influence.
You betray your ignorance of recent events. Our sphere of influence is all that keeps your malignancy from being purged from the face of the earth.
What?
How little you know, scientist. Our great dome powered by the red element is the only thing shielding you from the same lethal energies that threaten our own survival. The purple substance you infused yourself with, what you call Edmundium, enables the creation of life. The blue variant is raw energy to be tapped for the machines of war, whereas the red element extends life, carrying us across the millennia intact in our own bodies. Though, as you can see, we have made certain modifications. But what little Edmundium is to be found on this planet came down on your aberrant ark. And no form of element can exist on the planet beyond our shielding. Not anymore.
How is this possible?
The Reseed Protocol. The Arks. They have cleansed Earth of our elements, except for our lost city. Here, we are all that's left of the Children of Element, and we can no longer survive outside of the protective shielding of our great dome. In that way, Doctor, we are alike.
All my plans. We are sealed away here in the darkness together forever.
I'm so glad we finally understand each other.
With the revelation that Earth had been cleansed of element, everything that Rockwell had been previously building up to aboard the Aberrant Ark had, in more ways than one, come crashing down. Instead of the Titans, it was now the Reseed Protocol, standing between himself and his desire to reshape the world in his image. Stranded at Arat Prime and with an entire kingdom against his presence, Rockwell would have to find another way to spread his influence.
Are you enjoying this, Doctor? Does the suffering of my dying consort amuse you?
I assure you it does not. But the Queen's affliction is a direct result of her unprovoked assault.
I had imagined far more of your humanity remained than I see in evidence today. As a fellow scientist, I would have thought...
What would you know of humanity? You appear to have bred all willpower out of your subjects, made them little better than workhorses and livestock.
It's almost amusing to be judged by a walking anachronism. It's past time I gave you a history lesson. I was once as human as you were, long ago. In my early life, as Darius Anthom, I was in charge of the Arat Prime facility on this site, where we successfully completed mankind's final and finest work, Project Genesis. We compiled the codex containing the genetic, epigenetic, and engrammatic data of nearly every living being to have ever evolved on Earth and launched a copy to the stars. A chance for Earth's life to begin anew elsewhere in our galaxy on a new Arat.
Quite an achievement, rivaled only by your sharp ascent from chief administrator to sovereign ruler.
Why should we, with all our knowledge, have vanished from the face of the earth? Why should our souls vanish into nothingness, while untold generations are to enjoy the future we labor to build for them? Was death to be our own reward for saving all of humanity? No! I was the only one who could lead my people through that long period of tribulations after the cataclysm left us alone in an uninhabitable world. We altered ourselves to survive in the darkness and cold that kept our lost colony hidden from outside forces bent on our destruction. Over uncountable years here, the cost was steep. Colleagues, friends, lovers, all betrayed me, one by one. They could not bear to live with what we had become. Losing them was difficult. I do not deny it. It has been a struggle to adapt. But I think you understand, as a man of science, this is all there is. At any cost, life and knowledge must be preserved. At long last, I finally achieved a kind of order here. But then, the Arks triggered their cleansing fires, healing the world.
A world neither of us can live in. How did this happen? Who did this?
It calls itself the One Who Waits, this being of light that tears us apart. But it once had another name.
What was it?
I think I've told you enough for now. But I promise, all in good time. Think on your predicament, Dr. Rockwell. When you've achieved a greater clarity as to your situation, then we will speak again.
An interesting detail about this conversation is that it reveals how little Rockwell actually knows about Helena after she had ascended. According to dialogue from his boss fight on Aberration, he was, at the time, aware of Helena Deus's existence, and had even interacted with her directly. So when Rockwell is unable to discern the One Who Waits as Helena, the Lost King finds it somewhat amusing, chuckling to himself at the prospect and likely saving the identity of She Who Waits as potential leverage. While continuing to devise a cure for the Lost Queen's affliction, Rockwell would once more attempt to negotiate his imminent departure from Arat Prime. And it's in this exchange where the Lost King would give Rockwell his alternate means of escape.
No more stalling, Doctor. You will alleviate her suffering. No!
Not until you guarantee my freedom.
You and I can never coexist peacefully within our borders. Not even for the short time that your finite supply of Edmundium lasts. The red and the purple, they are opposites, fated to destroy each other whenever they come into contact.
Agreed. And as I cannot leave this place without being destroyed by the so-called cleansing fire, I must find another way to continue my evolution.
What is it that you're after?
You mentioned lofting a voyage to explore the heavens from here long ago.
Indeed! It so happens we are still in contact with our interstellar craft. It travels through the slipstream in the hope of finding a better world.
I wish to join that voyage. I wish to help them find their place among the cosmos.
I'm sure you do. Cure my queen, and I will transmit you across the galaxy to the seed ship.
All this time you have been able to jump to your ship and escape the state of this world.
We who created the Codex cannot become part of the Codex. It is impossible for my kind to transmit ourselves through the slipstream. But I have no interest in starting over again on some alien world across the galaxy. Nor would I abandon my people and the only way of life we have known. This is where we were born, and this is where we will live on forever.
How very tedious. Well then, Your Majesty, I accept your offer of relocation. Take me to your Queen Consort and let's get this over with. I have a galaxy to explore.
It seems she will live on. That is fortunate for you.
Yes, I believe Her Majesty the Queen will make a full recovery. A pity I could not examine her more closely to be sure. Who is she, anyway?
That is none of your concern.
Yeah, well, the Edmundium in my system would only have exacerbated her symptoms anyway.
Thanks to Rockwell's own chelating agent, the Lost Queen would live to see another day. So too would the Doctor, as the Lost King upheld his end of the deal and led him to the Codex chamber. It's here where he'd use the superluminal link to access the Genesis colony ship.
May your journey there be productive.
I'm as giddy as an Etonian schoolboy.
But not before learning the identity of the one who waits.
Before I go, you mentioned the one who waits, this implacable being which destroyed my precious Edmundium. I must know, who was it?
It was once called Walker. Helena Walker. Do not be consumed by old hatreds, Doctor, for it is said no man is beyond redemption. Perhaps not even the two of us.
Enraged that, after all this time, it had been Helena of all people responsible for cleansing the earth of his Edmundium, Rockwell would hold on to this burning hatred, leading into the events of Genesis Part 1. By now, you had mastered Arat Prime in its entirety. Not only had you fortified an impenetrable outpost of your own, fit with new technologies, winnerific creatures, and an unbreakable thrall militia, but you had honed your red element infection into an advantage and learned the stories of those who came before, as you had over 1,000 years in the past. Boasting enough firepower to make Arasaka corpos shit their pants, and with the required tributes and sigils in hand, you'd storm Arat Prime's upper city, where the Lost King's most elite resided.
I'm afraid you've made a nuisance of yourself. A few of my special children are on their way to convey my extreme disappointment.
From there, you'd eventually make it to the Red Terminal at the end of the Caldera, the Royal Palace's entrance, only to be lambasted by the Lost King.
Oh, no you don't. Our palace is closed to the general public. You will never again see the inside of it. So perish that thought now.
The Codex has to be somewhere inside his palace. Let's just hope this Lost King hasn't realized why we're here. Just stick to our plan, okay? Locate the Codex, transmit it, and then we'll see about getting you out of that nightmare too.
What have we here? A wayward pet has finally found its way back to us. How could I ever again trust such a disobedient and ungrateful cur? My doors are no longer open to you, alas. And I'm afraid the penalty for trespassing on royal grounds is quite severe.
Better stay alert for trouble while I try to tease lips. Do what you can to stay alive while I keep trying to get you inside.
As you fought your way through the Lost King's first menagerie of gargoyles, Helena worked behind the scenes, opening doors which would lead deeper into the palace and closer to the Codex, much to the Lost King's chagrin.
Nice work, Survivor. You bought me time to crack the front gates. Well, what are you waiting for? Get in there before he can lock you out again.
Once again, you have accomplished the impossible. Do you have someone on the inside helping you? While I look into that, I'm restricting all access but my own. My children will be there soon to show you out.
For an all-powerful king, he sure seems worried about you getting to you. While I look for another way in, you better get ready for company.
Fending off the Lost King's forces now within his inner palace, you'd find yourself in the first of many assembly lines. This one forging dark tech en masse. Sanguine weapons, armor, and even items like cryopods were strewn about the production floor. In adjacent rooms lay sleeping quarters, lined with armories, firing ranges, even a prison where thralls were caged in rooms fitted with operating tables, discarded skeletons, and mysterious syringe-like devices, implying some level of dark, likely involuntary experimentation. It's in some of these rooms where you'd come to find pieces of an override code, split across 3 elite lost within 3 distinct areas. Upon collecting all 3 override codes, you would need to confront a 4th and final elite, the Thrall Cavalry Commander, for the master encryption key required to move forward. And so, continuing on foot, you made your way past several corridors and offices, into an auditorium to do just that.
You found the master encryption key. Now I can decrypt the override code. Yeah! Open sesame. Let's hope that's the last lock I need to pick.
You do realize you can't win, don't you? You're all alone against an entire kingdom. So be it. I'll be waiting for you in my great hall.
On Helena's word, you weren't going to accept the Lost King's provocation. Instead, you followed her directions towards the Codex and away from needless confrontation.
Ignore him and head in under that stuck door. Remember, our main goal here is getting to the Codex before he realizes that's what we're after.
Unfortunately for Helena, this evasion would inadvertently expose her plan in its entirety, as the Lost King would almost immediately piece together how you got here in the first place, and why.
Why would you go out there when you were just shy of my great hall? Where are you going? You were never after me. You want my Codex. But why? Unless... that's who's been helping you. Tell your Homo Deus friend she can't have it.
The following corridors would be eerily lined with flora and fauna salvaged from the aberrant Ark, a select few of which were being prepared for gargoyle transmutation in yet another assembly line. While scattered crates and cages stored various eggs and light pets native to Aberration, larger barriers contained additional revenant and aberrant creatures. Gloons, glowbugs, even nameless and reapers were all contained here. Secluded laboratories even display the latter two having been experimented on as well.
All this effort, and Rockwell's creations are still plaguing his kingdom. Too bad Edmund's moved on. He might have been able to help us.
Despite the implications, both horrifically unnerving and unapologetically adorable, you'd have to stay focused if you wanted to reach the Codex before the Lost King could intervene. Passing under what I assume to be Arat Prime's geothermal heat pump system, you'd be met by a second throng of gargoyles, which would be as easily dispatched as the first. Beneath the bridge, hundreds of thralls, accompanied by dozens of lost creatures, awaited their orders in killing you themselves. The entire kingdom of Arat Prime was against you now. This was the point of no return.
This is it. The Codex is somewhere on the other side of the storm. Just need to get to it before the Lost King leaves.
I should kill you for invading our refuge like this. The damage you have caused will take hundreds of years to repair. But you remind me of someone from long ago, another true survivor. Rockwell told me that she would one day seek to destroy our colony, and so I wonder, through some dark manipulation of our technology, does she speak through you now? Tell me, what was your plan if you made it this far? Assuming this was ever your own plan at all.
Don't say anything. This has to be a trick.
That force which stopped me from turning you. I was hoping you would bring her here with you, that I might convince one of their kind to spare my people from the cleansing fire. You see, we do not wish to join their world, and with it, suffer the inevitable decay and corruption of mankind. All of the terrible sacrifices my people have made have been simply to live in peace among our own. Show yourself, Puppet Master! No? She refuses to present herself after all. You are a disappointment. Desperus! Your master beckons! The time for battle has arrived! Now, I am going to kill you! Show me what you've got!
Not only had you and Helena been found out, but the Lost King had beaten you to the Codex Chamber as well. He had been prepared for a moment like this, as in unseen conversations between himself and Rockwell, the latter had apparently warned him of Helena Deus and what was likely her vision of an Earth free of element, while also not knowing of her relevance until his final moments at Arat Prime. Now you'd have to face the Lost King's regal yet deadly mount, the Gigadesmodus Regius, a colossal, ruthlessly aggressive Desmodus Draculae subjected to heavy genetic modifications through Red Element.
Try to at least make this amusing. We haven't had a real challenge in ages.
You won't stand a chance as long as he's airborne. But if you can overload all those pylons and force the Lost King to the ground...
On Helena's word, you began to damage the Lost King's pylons, knocking him and his Gigadesmodus out of the air and down to your level, where he'd be more vulnerable to your attacks, all the while fending off mobs of the Lost hell-bent on protecting their majesty.
My patience for your stubborn defiance is nearly exhausted. You wanted me down here with you? Now you can witness the power of the red up close.
By setting off unstable red element crystals sporadically materializing across the Codex Chamber's floor, you could reverse their invigorating effect on the Gigadesmodus and temporarily stun it in place for a good beating. Though, despite your best efforts, the Lost King's pylons wouldn't stay down forever, as they had the innate ability to restore themselves passively just as quickly as you could overload them.
It's no use! My sanguine tech is self-repairing. Do you understand now how hopeless this is? Back to the air, Gigadesmodus! Let my children deal with this fool.
This wouldn't stop you though. After all, you were the one who tries again. And so as many times as the pylons could restore themselves, you took them down again and again, repeatedly grounding the Lost King and wailing on him there.
How much longer can you hope to fight on? You have none of my knowledge, none of my power.
Don't listen to him. You're making progress.
Why do you keep throwing yourself against me? I've shown you I can shrug off anything you do to me.
Despite all his bluster, his pylons are getting weaker with every regeneration.
A shame to let all your efforts be for nothing.
Given enough time, the Lost King's arrogance would wane. Violent threats quickly turned to bargains, coercion, only to fall on deaf ears.
Turn on your mistress and fight for my kingdom. You have more in common with me than the so-called Homo Deus. Listen to me. You belong with us. You have to know that.
That same coercion quickly faded to fear and desperation. For as powerful as the Lost King was, he was no match for you, the one who tries again. That much was clear.
How are you doing this? And why? Think of the children. We've endured so much, earned our right to go on. I will not see you destroy our way of life.
He's actually afraid of you. And he should be. Hear the desperation in his voice? You're winning.
What do you know of survival? I've outlived every human in history or legend. Methuselah had nothing on me.
At a critical disadvantage, the Lost King would channel his inner turmoil. After everything he and his people had gone through, having watched the world crumble down around them, forced to abandon their humanity in order to survive the long cataclysm, he couldn't allow you to succeed, to erase them from the world.
No! No, I can't let you win! For my children, I must not fail you.
His pylons are failing. One more go-around should end this.
You're the real monster here. You with your angel on your shoulder, hell-bent on driving us to extinction. The last of our kind.
You've got him now.
Like you, we cling to life by whatever means necessary. You had to have done terrible things too, to survive this long?
After many repeated attempts, the Lost King's pylons would finally be destroyed beyond repair, forcing him and his Gigadesmodus to the ground for what would be their last stand.
Everything I've done was to protect my people. Curse you and curse her! I swear, I will have the last.
This is your moment. Finish him off.
And with one final blow, the king of the Lost Colony and director of Arat Prime, Darius Anthom, would fall by your hand. Yet, he wouldn't be the only one standing between you and the Engram Codex.
If I cannot stop you, there is still someone left who can. My queen, hear me! The kingdom is yours! Protect the children! Protect the lost! You will not. Survive her.
His queen. I'm accessing what I can of the Codex to see what he's... Oh no. How could I have missed this?
Helena, completely oblivious to the existence of any lost queen, would immediately begin searching the Codex for any information relevant on who you were about to be put up against. But what she ended up finding would shake her to her very core. 2 millennia ago, Mei-Yin would leave the ruins of Sanctuary alone, in search of Arat Prime and its Codex. Despite coming to be abandoned by Helena Deus during her journey, Mei was determined to bring her and Diana back to her side. Pressing forward and into the Lost Colony, Mei-Yin would fend off a number of the Lost King's most powerful adversaries, before setting her sights on the royal palace.
So much time has passed without anything to challenge the order of my kingdom, but I was slow to react to a surprising new threat. An outsider found her way into my realm, and she is formidable indeed. Mei-Yin has systematically slain nearly all of the remaining challenges to my throne that I have placed in her way. She appears to be the clone of an ancient warrior who originated on one of the arks built by those others so long ago. Why does she seem to be so single-mindedly determined to find my codex? I must access the records of the ARK network to learn all I can about this remarkable woman. What drives the unyielding fire I sense in her? And how can it yet benefit my kingdom?
Upon entering the Codex chamber, Mei-Yin would be subject to intense psychological manipulation at the hands of the Lost King, having already looked into her deepest, darkest, most painful memories.
Impressive for you to have traveled so very far, Mei-Yin, only to fall prostrate before my feet.
Reveal yourself, devil, and we shall see who does the falling.
I have seen your memories within the Codex. You are a broken soul. You left behind those dearest to you, one murdered.
You'll come back for me, right, babe? Never let go. I don't think I can face death again alone.
Mei-Yin!
and watched another vanish into nothingness.
Never forget me. We're all part of the dream. It's nothing more than that. And I'll always love you there.
And what of your allies? Left dormant within an endless hibernation, awaiting a savior who may never come.
Well, if we all got such a long wait ahead of us, might as well ride it out in these here glass coffins. I could use some beauty sleep. Just hope little Miss Prof's right about this, prophecy of hers. 1,000 years. Helena.
This part is a little fuzzy, as it's not really explained all that well what we're supposed to take away from a lot of Mei-Yin's flashbacks. But from what I could gather, sometime around Helena's ascension into a Homo Deus, what little remained of the Tech tribe, including Bob, who I guess was canonically present during the events of extinction, went into cryosleep after their first run-in with the King Titan, all in light of the dream, Helena's 1,000-year prophecy. If my understanding is correct, and there were a few survivors left alive from the King Titan's onslaught, this detail makes for yet another retcon, as it's stated by Mei-Yin that she and Helena were the only ones to make it out of the confrontation alive. Mei-Yin's first flashback also shows Diana leaving the cockpit of a mech, which, assuming this takes place during the events of extinction, would mean that her respawn is still canon, and that instead of accompanying Mei on her journey to Arat Prime, Diana likely elected to follow her fellow tribemates and Bob into cryosleep instead. I'm not entirely sure why she would do this, as there exists several Explorer notes which directly contradict this assumption, nor does this give any explanation as to why everyone refers to Diana as if her death on Aberration was permanent during the events of Lost Colony.
Now, here at the end of the world, it is just you and I, the last of our kind. Is this not meant to be?
Time has not been kind to you, Lost King.
Such is the price of eternity, but only a pittance for its many spoils.
The true price was your soul and those of your children. You know what I'm here for. Give me the Codex, and I will leave you in eternal peace.
To give you that would force my kind into starvation. Besides, only I know how to deploy the Codex to create life. Here is my offer. Join us as my consort, and when the Earth is finally cleansed, then we shall accomplish what you seek, and bring your beloved pair back into the world.
I would never become one of your kind. Hand over the Codex now, or I will take it from you.
Then let us see what terrible furies the great Mei-Yin is capable of. Such power! You would make a fine queen for my people, and thereby earn your reward.
My soul and free will are not for sale.
Everything in this world has a price, and the soul of man is but a token in the exchange. Effort, Mei-Yin, but set against the infinite, any mortal will break.
On the brink of failure, memories of Helena and Diana, those she was fighting for, would give Mei the resurgence to pull herself away from the Lost King's torrid side.
Impossible.
Severing her own arm, Mei-Yin would then use the scythe to rip open the Lost King's abdomen, splaying his organs across the Codex chamber's floor. Though Mei was more than capable of killing the Lost King in this moment, she'd be faced with an ultimatum.
You cannot be broken, but only I can use the Codex. Kill me, Mei-Yin, and you kill them.
You can do this, Mei. You can wait out the long dark.
1,000 years of darkness for another lifetime together.
Hide yourself away, deep inside. You will need to stay so strong, as you always have been. Unbreakable.
Betraying her instincts, Mei-Yin conceded and would allow herself to accompany the Lost King's side for however long it took for the dream to be fulfilled.
Welcome to our family, my queen.
Though Helena hadn't known of Mei-Yin's fate after her arrival to Arat Prime, nor was she in any way compelled to look into it, likely having just assumed her to be dead, Mei had survived all this time in the long dark as the Lost Queen. For centuries, Mei-Yin would go on to do the Lost King's bidding, slaying his adversaries and enforcing order across Arat Prime. Though the Lost King sought intimacy in Mei-Yin, his advances were all for nothing, as despite having become one of the Lost, she was eternally faithful to those who would come before. Yet, bygone loves weren't the only thing which had remained with the Lost Queen, as once the aberrant ark had crashed near Arat Prime, granting Edmund Rockwell escape, so too would past hatreds come to light.
Mei-Yin may have submitted to the turning, but she remains my queen consort, in name only. In the centuries since, she has proved to be my most effective enforcer, killing the last of the warlords who sought to overthrow me, leaving my rule absolute. Yes, she keeps her distance, holding back her innermost thoughts. I could force her to my will, but that would crush my last hope of true companionship. Most recently, another outsider adversary has arrived on our doorstep. As it happens, someone from my queen's life-only arcs, this clever interloper, has begun to corrupt the borders of my kingdom. With mutated wildlife and reanimated thrall corpses he intends to set against us. I will leave it to my lost queen to negotiate with her, one-time fellow traveler. This Edmund Rockwell.
And now, after 2,036 years in the dark, the Lost Queen was here to finish what the Lost King had started.
Trespassers! You should not have come here. You will feed the lost children, and your strength will be added to theirs, and to me, their queen.
Mei-Yin, what have they done to you? Survivor, please. I'm begging you, we have to help her.
Mei-Yin was someone you had learned of during your time on the Arks so long ago. And now, the impenetrable warrior, the beast queen of the jungle, the depths, and the wastes, was standing before your very eyes, having undergone countless genetic modifications into a towering, vampiric monarch out for blood. Your blood.
I can't leave Mei-Yin alone, not again. There must be some way to lower her defenses and reach the person she was.
You were a fool to ever set foot here. There is nothing you could ever do to hurt me. I was broken and remade long before you woke up on any arc.
It was due to these genetic modifications that you wouldn't be able to harm her, not by conventional means, though Helena quickly found a solution for that.
None of your weapons will do any good against her. Her red element shielding is too strong. But hang on, I'm detecting an opposing power source nearby. Mei-Yin almost took down the Lost King with that tech spear 1,000 years ago. Rockwell must have infected her weapon with Edmundium during his time here. So she might just be vulnerable to it. Go get that spear, Survivor.
Of all people, Rockwell would be the one to come through for you in this fight, as in the short time he had spent at Arat Prime, he had apparently imbued Mei-Yin's tech spear with purple element, creating a weapon capable of harming the Lost Queen. Though it wouldn't be easy, as by tethering herself to the Codex, the Lost Queen could rebuild herself, effectively negating any damage you could do to her. But by fending off her vicious neophytes and severing that connection, you'd allow Helena to speak, not to the Lost Queen, but to Mei-Yin.
Remember who you really are, Helena.
No, I am the Lost Queen. Relent, and I might grant you a swift end.
Through relentless taunts and mind games, you'd block and dodge the Lost Queen's ruthless assault, using her own tech spear to expose the person she once was.
Mei-Yin. Your name is Li Mei-Yin. You were born just before the time of the Three Kingdoms. Your parents were murdered by the Emperor. You were raised in secret by your grandfather to be an unyielding warrior.
So much pain. I will not suffer such loss. Not ever again.
Your brother was Han. He fought by your side in the Yellow Turban Rebellion. He believed in you, everyone did. You were a leader.
Han. No. That life is gone. Stop this!
As much as she didn't want to hear of them, the Lost Queen would be susceptible to her memories as Mei-Yin. betrayal from those closest to her in lives prior.
You deeply loved a noble woman, Xin Shui. You were going to run away together to escape judgment, but she betrayed you, and you vowed never to love again until...
I don't love. I can't love. It's a weakness. Get out of my head!
Abandonment from those she relied on.
You vowed never to love again until you met me, Helena Walker, on the Ark. We were opposites in so many ways, but we made each other whole. You saved my life countless times.
I did love you, but you left me behind. Alone!
I've been with you always, Mei-Yin.
Suffering felt from the losses of those she loved most.
And then you met Diana Alteras, a warrior as fierce as yourself. And you found love again.
Diana, but her fate was my fault. I let her die.
No. You saw that justice was done.
And the thought of seeing those she loved one final time.
Later, you decided to stay behind while your fellow survivors hibernated and try to find a way back to Diana and I.
Why would I ever want to feel that pain again? To love is to lose.
With the red barrier closing in, radiation leaking from the red element crystals, and the lost queen on her last legs, Helena implored you to take the Edmundium-infused spear and free Mei-Yin from her long dark.
I left you once, Mei-Yin, but I won't this time. I know it seems cruel, believe me, but you have to get to her while she's weakened.
And so, you did exactly that.
Hear me! You found something real on the Ark with Diana and Helena, despite the loss and pain. Something you thought you lost in your first life, thousands of years before.
What? What did I find with them?
Yourself. Your true self. Li Mei-Yin. And she's still there within you now.
I know you, Helena.
And I know you, Mei-Yin.
Thank you for helping me remember who I was and who I still am. You've ended my long nightmare. I just wanted
to see me and Diana one more time. Now that can happen. Thanks to the Engram Codex you've recovered. There was another where we are now, but that was destroyed. We need your intact copy transmitted to us here on Arat, and add your own engrams into the data stream. Then we can finally be together again on this new world.
That's all I've wanted. And Diana?
I have a friend who's working on it. It's just a matter of time. But join us here. And let the lost colony be cleansed like the Earth has been.
Your vision came true while I was lost?
Yes.
I eventually found my champion. And the Titans finally fell once and for all. Earth was cleansed of its element poisoning and reseeded. It's a paradise now, beyond wonder, with all things in balance. As we can make our Arat together.
Then let me join you in paradise, Helena. And we will bring Diana back to us.
Everything will finally be set right.
After shedding her physical body and having her engram uploaded to the Codex and the Codex uploaded to Arat, the Lost Colony's Great Dome would finally come down. With the planet free of element at last and Arat Prime crumbling down around you, the superluminal link would activate one last time, sending your consciousness as the one who tries again to Arat. Though respawning again wouldn't be so easy.
So, we got the Codex back from Earth. What are we waiting for? Let's use it to bring back my mom.
It might not be that easy. But before I tell you why, you have to promise that this stays between you and I. Just like the rest of our conversations, okay?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah?
I promise, Auntie Helena.
Buried deep within this planet is the core of the seed ship that brought us all here. We need to input the complete copy of the Codex into its respawn matrices before we can revive Diana, Mei-Yin, or anyone else. And that might not be that easy.
Why not?
Well, I had to scuttle the seed ship to stop it from being overtaken by a terrible monster. But the creature managed to leave one last copy of itself in that core. And while it was isolated over the past millennium, the entity was dormant and inert. And if we go down there, we might well awaken whatever remains of it.
We both survived all kinds of monsters. What's so bad about this one anyway?
When it was a tormented man. So long ago. His name was Edmund.
Wait! There's someone following us.
Yes, there is. But where we're going to need his incredible strength and spectacular skills and mighty heart.
Were you expecting some other handsome, hairless hero? Well, you got me.
And that, survivors, has been the full story of ARK: Lost Colony Explained. All in all, while I can't say that I enjoyed Lost Colony's story as much as I would have liked to, given its many questionable narrative decisions, I hope that I was able to explain said narrative in a cohesive and entertaining manner nevertheless. And while I'm hoping that the upcoming Bob's True Tales and Legacy of Santiago DLCs will clear up some of the deeper questions Lost Colony leaves unanswered, such as Diana's ultimate fate and the inexplicable 1,000-year time skip between Genesis and ARK 2, those will be respective videos for a later date. In the meantime, thank you for watching, and thank you for waiting. This project has been a massive undertaking, and I wouldn't have been able to do it without your support, or the support of my incredible team. Consider leaving a like if you liked this video, subscribe if you'd like to see more, and if you think I missed anything, drop a comment below and I'll make sure to leave it a heart. I'd like to give an extra thank you to my patrons for their continued support of the channel, including, but not limited to, Nathan Hildebrandt, Hey No Quest, and Jeremy Stieglitz of the Ascended Survivor tier. See you all in the next one, survivors.